Yeah, you're recording now. You're live.
Sideways.
Oh no.
You can't turn that song. It's recording.
I'm still gonna go
It probably should have been
after
the
the
other
drop,
way.
okay?
Huh?
After the drop, we're gonna go.
Sure.
You want me to come around a little more again?
So,
You can get in there.
Yeah, here we go.
here we go. Ready? This is the drop. Coming up to you now.
WUJM, St. Petersburg, 99 Gems. The Bird.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our fans and followers out there in radio and video media. What's it called?
Land.
Land. Yeah, I like that one. I have a new motto. This is Political Theater International, and our new motto is: if we can prove it, we're gonna say it.
There we go. I like that.
You like that?
All right, there you go.
Like
There you
that?
go. I like that, man.
All right, all right.
You could be the Don
I need you guys to
Lemon
speak
of,
up and speak up in the
of
microphone.
radio.
Oh, Don Lemon. Okay. Get out the door. We don't want no intruders. You know, we
Yeah.
scared.
Kicking the
You're
door
live
in.
in here.
Live on the air. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Today, our topic is going to be about the changes that we see coming in. This is an election year, midterm, and also a gubernatorial race. Very important issues on the table, Amendment 4, but all of them are very important. One thing I want to talk about is health care. And
Before you get started on that, why, or should I say, why you're talking about that?
what I'm talking about that, go ahead.
Bring up who you met the other day.
I had the privilege to meet Mr. The gubernatorial candidate. How do you pronounce his whole name?
Andrew Gillum.
That guy.
Okay.
I was impressed. I was impressed at what he said, the way he carries himself like an outside linebacker.
That's what you say.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
don't joke.
Big old joker. Yeah, smart, very precise, and he was keen on his points. And he seems that he has that drive and that-
Charismatic.
charismatic, but he means what he says.
Right.
One of the things that on his agenda is about health care. Talking about health care and health care for all. But in conjunction with that, raising the minimum wage. Will those things conflict? Are they culpable? Is that a word?
I would think that raising the minimum wage will cause a great windfall for some, because we have to look at all the professions. Entry-level jobs, jobs that pay technical skills, jobs that combine with both technical and non-technical in different areas. We have to look at the bottom line for companies, because if you raise the minimum wage, we could have a domino effect in our community.
What does it mean for, let's talk about health care. And we have health care for all, universal health care. We've seen it tried in some states. I'm a proponent of it, but the gentleman next to me, they have some opinions about it.
The only thing I say, and I only have just one or two things. With universal health care, I always say, and I tell Sherm all the time, if you want to see free health care, go to the VA. Just go down there, sit down, and just watch. That's what it looked like to me. To me, that's what it looks like.
Is that, in a good light or a bad light? What do you
Well,
what is that?
that's why I say just go down there and look. Now, you will form your own opinion. All three of us go. So, Mr. Douglas, what do you think?
Well, I think that, let's be honest, I'm going to be real honest with everybody out
That's
there.
why I asked.
And sometimes when you say things, people don't want to take it for granted, but we have to look at the bigger picture. Let's leave all the identity agendas outside and look at everything for one accord. We're dealing with the issues and the policies that come with the issues. Healthcare for all. It will cost us money.
Of course.
It will have to come. It will have to come in the form of a tax.
Of course.
It will
That
either
was my-
be
that was
it
my
would,
next
it would
point.
either be a state tax being implemented, because remember the Florida Senate had a compromise, but it got voted down by creating a state tax.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Now, if you increase health care, it has to come from somewhere. Either property tax. Hold on now.
Okay.
Real estate. Something has to be increased.
Mm-hmm.
But let me say this: you're paying. You're going to pay on the front end or the back end. Let's use Bayfront Indigent Care. You walk into Bayfront, you need care, and you get treated to the standards that just to stabilize you
Uh-huh.
and send you back out.
Uh-huh.
Now, this person walks out without paying anything. You're going to pay one way or the other. that service needs to be paid for.
Right, because
So-
it gets absorbed by the community through taxes. That's what Ralph is saying.
Oh,
That indigent care does get absorbed
It does.
through the community by taxes.
So by having universal health care,
Mm-hmm.
then it would be more affordable, would it not?
Universal health care will be more affordable, but we have to understand what type of care you'll be getting when
That's
you get
why I
there.
said go down to Bay Pines, sit there, and
No, but we're not getting to the point.
No, we're going to get to the point.
We're not. Well, the point we need to make is, it's going to come from us, the consumer, the
It
individuals.
has to.
It's coming
And
from-
I agree with you because
It's
it has
It's
to.
come from consumer already. When you go in there, I have 5 children, the ages 26 to 14. So I've been through the whole, the earaches, the throat aches, the asthmas, and all that stuff. You know, when you let that person, doctor comes in and goes, have someone with me. Do you mind if they sit there? You're paying for that,
Yeah.
right? you, whether you know it or not. So you're going to pay either way. But why not lower? Let's take something like Medicare. Why not lower the age? I mean, because it's one, it's already known. 2, it's already in effect. So now if we lower the age and increase the people who can be seen by Medicare, do you agree with that?
I agree with it. But
Okay,
then-
but like he said, just like he has said,
But y'all-
you still dancing around the issue. Is how you gonna pay for
But the
it?
problem-
Because it's already been funded already.
By whom?
By the
of cour-
taxpayer.
By the taxpayers,
Of
course.
course. So,
but
but that is
Let's-
only for a small pool.
no. That's not for
The
a small.
current
No,
the current thing is only for a
Yeah.
certain pool.
No, it's not.
Because
Right
it's,
now
it's
it
age
is.
restricted. It's age restricted.
It's
now.
It's age restricted, but let's
and
get
it's
some. Let's
income
get some.
restricted.
I want to get something straight with you all. There are some services offered by Medicaid or Medicare, whatever the case may be, because of how they pay the providers, the medical providers. Some of them do not want to carry it anymore because it does not pay the amount of money. Sometimes the individuals who go out there
Break it down for
to
me.
get, if a person go out to get the services through Medicaid or Medicare, sometimes the services do not meet the criterion as far as the payment is concerned. They may cover it, but some certain stipulations or procedures may not be covered within that plan.
And
You
that's-
understand what I'm saying?
And that still falls within a small group of people because it is only applies to either, like you said, an income level or an age group.
But we have seniors that are on the plan, correct? They're paid into the plan or whatever the case may be. Now, say for instance, perfect example, you have certain dentists in certain cities that can do sedation, pulling out your wisdom teeth and stuff like that. If you can't find one here, guess we got to go Miami.
Right.
What?
Yes,
Right.
sir. That's not a game.
That's
Come on,
right.
man.
Miami,
Come on.
a couple hours away from us, is one of the few cities that do a lot of. They have a lot of providers down there that do certain procedures
Right.
under that. That is correct.
That's right.
Because I almost had to take my son down there to Miami to take his teeth out. It would have cost me because I had to get a hotel. I had to drive down there. I have to spend time with him because guess what? When I go down there, I got to get a hotel, make sure when he come out, the procedure and everything. So what I'm saying is, a lot of medical providers don't want to take on Medicaid because they know sometimes it doesn't pay what it's supposed to pay for them.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
So this is what it means by in the loop and out of the loop.
correct.
Right.
You use
Correct.
terms.
That's what we're talking about.
Because I'm going to play layman. That is not my area of expertise, but I'm going to play layman on this. So you say you out of the loop, you in the loop. This is what they're referring to when they say, oh, "I'm sorry, I'm not in your circle. I'm out."
It's
There
just like being. It would be the same as if you were with Aetna, Blue Cross, or whoever the heck else. It's the same. The only difference is instead of Ralph Douglas, MD, getting paid $100 for his services, Medicaid is going to only pay him $50 for his services.
Yeah.
That would be the difference. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So
99 Gems. The Bird.
we still on. So okay.
that's what we're talking about. So that's the reason why not too many physicians or dentists want to be involved with Medicaid, Medicare, or AmeriKids and all that other stuff. Now, the feds, like with food stamps, only pay 50 to 75 cents on the dollar. I'm just guessing.
Okay.
But that's what the problem is. That's basically the problem why doctors don't want to get involved with it.
Now, how does this tie into, we started earlier talking about minimum wage. How does that tie into minimum wage that you want to bring an argument discussion
Well,
about?
my argument and discussion is, it's not really an argument, it's something that we need to really accept and think about. If a minimum wage is brought into the state of Florida, it's going to have a devastating impact on a lot of industries.
You mean negative?
Well, I won't say negative, but devastating. Negative is not just one aspect of it. It's devastating. Because think about it. I'm not here to change the political ideals of others out there. I'm not here to change. I'm not trying to be politically incorrect.
Right.
But I'm just being realistic with my terminology and how I look at things. This is what I've assessed based on what I see. If you're a mom and papa business and you have 5 employees and you normally doing payroll taxes, and that's a billing service. If you're not doing it, you're paying a third party to do that. If you got to pay $15 an hour, somebody got to go, because you got to find that money to facilitate that source of payment. Let's get that straight. Now, large corporations, they can get what is called a reserve, because they can pay their employees, and then whenever whoever their business is outside, they could come back and pay them that money. Now, anybody who works now, I'm be honest with you, paying $15 an hour, they're going to have to be 1099. And to me, the reason why I say it's devastating, because if you're 1099, banks don't recognize that as income. You will not have no buying power to buy a house or buy anything, because you have to have stated documentation. You understand what I'm saying?
But Ralph, the minimum wage hasn't been raised in 20 years.
Listen.
And cost of living is going. So how we go? Okay.
Understand what I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
What state is a base where companies come and invest their money in? You live in it. Florida. Correct?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
What state get a lot of tax breaks for large corporations that invest money in here? Florida.
But Ralph, we don't have heavy industry. That's
No,
kind of a
don't say that.
That's,
Don't say
that's,
that.
That's kind of a phallus.
No, that's not a phallus.
You don't believe
We-
it? The industry we have is fruit, and I think the second largest, I may be wrong on this, cattle.
No, don't say that. Don't say that.
You don't-
We have a lot of companies here that have
Doing what?
Doing what?
Yeah.
Massive. No, wait. I'm not talking about service and Wendy's.
Yeah,
I'm talking
we're
about
not
creating massive.
talking about tourism.
Right.
No, we ain't talking about tourism. We have companies that came here and invested in communications,
Okay.
aerospace technology. If you drive around and go to certain areas in and around St. Petersburg, Bradenton, Florida, even Sarasota, there's a lot of heavy industry invested in those communities.
You're talking about technology.
A lot of technology bases invested in
We're
here.
talking about we have
You understand what I'm
Molex,
saying?
we have
Yeah, we got a lot of companies out here.
Jabil, the
Jabil
Jabil
Circuit.
Circuit.
Yeah, all of them.
Well, I used
to work at Jabil.
Yeah, both of us did.
And
All
Molex.
of us did.
And now Jabil has downsized from what it used to be.
tremendously.
Big time.
Because they lost a lot of contracts.
Well,
because
not
of
only
that.
did they lose a lot, they sold a lot.
Right.
Now
that's
they
true.
sold a lot.
But they also
There's a
moved to
difference
Mexico too.
between- They moved to
To Mexico and they
and
moved to Ireland.
That's
I
right.
was
they were
there when
talking
that
about going to
transitioned.
China, but they
Yes.
didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
They were going to move the office from over where they are now
But
to
why
the
would
little U-Haul spot by
But now,
by-
why were they going to
by the
leave?
raise. Exactly.
Why were they going to leave? Because of the more money they're going to make overseas than paying a fair and minimum wage, and not only that, but also paying Medicare, things that workers are demanding that we
That's
need
right.
and we fought for, right?
Yeah.
So now they're going to leave and go make money, and I've been to China 6 times.
There you go.
So I've seen the working
There you
conditions
go.
and
So-
the population and so on.
So when you got a president hollering about put America first,
Well,
even before that was his slogan to run, and you talked about you got a lot of companies around here, so those two things don't even balance out. Because those cats right there would damn sure wouldn't put America first.
no.
Well,
and the
well, you know, go ahead.
the old notion of an American company, what do you mean? You mean multinational
Yes.
company. Stop thinking that you still own Walmart.
No.
Walmart's is just USA. Go look at, pull up a little tag on the back of a shirt and see where it's manufactured. Pakistan, we go
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh,
Yeah.
we go on,
China.
and we've been to many of those countries, and for all 3 of us, we've been to those countries and seen the deplorable conditions. But now, let me change the subject, switch up a little bit. Some of the most vulnerable are the underserved in our community. That's mentally challenged,
And veterans.
veterans, physically challenged.
Yeah.
Do you have a position on that? Do you have an opinion on that?
Well, the only situation I look at is the fact that when you put people in those situations, because remember, one of the things that need to be addressed is when you pay these people disability benefits and stuff like that, their income, they could either get a HUD VASH through the city or wherever the county, wherever they're at in the end, or they could find housing that has been reduced. There are not too many of them that have housing that's available and reduced. And then cost of living, as we see, when that sets in, it makes it difficult for them to live independently. You understand what I'm saying? So for veterans who coming out, who don't know what's going on out here, who are unaware of what's going on, maybe they have a family, they need to be prepared when they walk out here in these streets. And that's what I'm saying is devastating. Because remember, if you making a certain amount of money with Social Security or Social Security disability, like disability, you can't work. But if you get an SSI, some of them can work maybe 15 hours a week, 15 hours, depending on how many hours they can work.
But the most challenged can't work, period.
Some of them do.
Some
Some
of
of them
them.
can do. Some of them can't. It's a case-by-case scenario. But
Okay.
you're not going to hinder them because, Florida is one of the states that came out and improved a lot of these laws with disability and stuff like that. They were the pioneers in that. And they created all these different programs to help them. These people are helped. The problem is the housing industry is what is the biggest problem for them, because if some of them want to live independently, they have to work. They still have to go back out there and work. They can't work so many hours, because if they work over a threshold amount of hours, their money could be taken away from them. So you see, it's either their benefits need to be raised through the cost of living. It may increase or it may increase, but it may have to have a cap. Where are we going to find housing for them when they get older? You see what I'm saying? Where are we going to find housing for people who on Social Security? Listen to what I'm saying.
Okay.
Listen, let me hypothetical scenario. If you're getting $1,000 a month, right, for Social Security, right, and you live in a 55+ community, and you're paying $400 in rent, what your lot rent is? Some lot rents are $600, man. $600 for lot rent for some of these communities. If you have money and you bought your little area in that community, you still got to pay the lot rent, and you might pay HOA fees pertaining to that. It depends on where you at.
Which is not including your allotment you're talking about.
No, what I'm saying is that we have seniors right now that are either saying, well, I can't buy this medication today, I got to pay this bill. How I'm going to do this? If your medication, and they paying Part B too. Let's imagine if they change anything with those programs, how it's going to be. Part B could go up $100. That could throw off somebody's budget. Well, I ain't going to have lights this month. I ain't going to have water this month. I'll be able to pay my water.
So you're saying that raising the minimum wage would hurt all of that?
It could hurt a lot of industries.
I don't see how that would happen, because once you raise the minimum wage, everything else is going to go up right along with it.
Well,
Everything follows. Like he said, there hasn't been a pay increase in 20 years, like you said.
Damn near 20 years.
If the housing market is one of the biggest things that drives what they say Wall Street, and it fluctuates big time, especially here. I just went fishing this morning, and if you go down to Pinellas Point, and you go down, Pinellas Point Drive, at least from 14th up to Bay Vista, there's probably about 4 houses for sale, just in that little corner. If you go the other way, heading towards the stop sign, probably about another 4.
But how many high rises, or I say brick and mortars, are taking place for? You can go on First Avenue right here, go down, and there's a place that's been no more than 3 or 4 years old. So they're building for the challenged.
They're building for everything, but you have to have a certain income ratio to get in there.
But that's why I keep saying about the whole Medicaid. If you make it for all, then people can afford to go to the doctor. They can afford expensive medication.
But
and that's what the Prudential governor is saying that he wants to, make
Yeah, but I know you heard what the governor said. The candidate for governor,
Yes.
Andrew Gillum. I know you spoke to him and you heard a lot of things that he said. But one of the things that I'm concerned about is housing
and where the money coming.
and where the money comes from. And on top of that, and this is what I'm saying. Everybody might get upset with what I'm saying today, but hear me out
That's what
well.
do a lot. That's what do a lot.
Here what's going on. There's a lot of housing being built around here. A lot of developers are developing homes, median homes, and some of these medium homes starting at 300,000, 400,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they,
Now, no.
but that's what I'm saying about the housing market. When you build stuff like that, and you still got houses that are not selling at 150,
Well, the
they're
reason.
not even selling at 150.
Well, you got to understand something. People may be in a situation where they want to get out their home. People might we don't know the circumstances behind that home.
You don't
True.
have to know the circumstances
we don't know.
behind the house when you have neighborhoods in the pink streets,
Which is what's it called?
a so-called upper class,
Status.
very much so,
Yeah.
that are not being sold. What you can guess, logically, I would assume, would probably be due to the flood insurance. Would probably be the thing that's keeping them out.
Which-
You could say that much.
Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying, but in Florida, anywhere you build 5 miles close to the water, you're gonna have to pay flood insurance.
That's right.
And I got it. A lot of people that got them a few years back, and to compound the housing crisis of 2008.
Yes.
To compound that, I know because I was one of them
Right.
at one point, and it was like, dang, go on it.
So anytime that problem.
Yes.
Anywhere. So anytime you build houses, that's why they're gonna cost you so much. You got sinkhole problems. We got gator problems. We got all kind of problems.
But to be
Nah,
fair,
but-
Michael, to
but-
be fair,
but-
to be fair about that,
But
how about greedy developers?
And that's the other
And
problem.
gentrification. I
Well,
know that's a
I
nasty
know-
word because I'm gonna go into
Well,
that.
that's the other
you see
issue.
that this is the problem. This is the problem that we see underlining on our doorsteps right now, with the gentrification and also with the rise in cost of homes. I mean, some candidates are talking about putting a cap on the cost of homes. Some of them did bring it up in their in their mandates. But let's be real. What type of medium income you supposed to have to purchase a home? $300,000.
That's the reason why you need to raise the minimum wage.
Right, but correct. But that's what I'm saying. You said that's the reason why. But like, say for instance, right now, if you're making $80,000 a year, let's say a couple making $80,000 a year
Combined.
Mhm.
they could afford a house for 200 and some thousand, at least 150, 180,
Right.
because it's comfortable for them, because they can pay their mortgage and pay their bills and still have residual income to do what they need to do. Now, if that home, let's say it's 300 and some thousand or 400,000, their mortgage going to be at least $2,300, $2,400, depending on where they live.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And then on top of that, the taxes that will come with it if they're doing it out of pocket or they're doing it escrow. You know what I mean? Now, I want to be fair with what I say because it's serious out here. We have kids that are about to be adults,
Mhm.
and some of them are adults already. And are they willing to take and eat that cost out here? Because remember, you have people.
No,
that,
of course not.
What I'm saying, you have
No.
people that are retiring here, that have sold their homes up north, maybe for $1 million and change, based on the amount of equity that was built in it over 30 years, and come down here and build a house from the ground up for $300,000. Now think about the effects and the long effect. Those people who own houses, the equity in their property would go up. That's common sense. They might take money out of their property, or they may say, I don't even want to live here no more. I would just sell my house and go away, and somebody would buy it and somebody will rebuild that home. You understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
So these things have different socio-economic indicators and factors that could change the dynamics of the community. But like I said, we don't know how it would impact us with a raise of $15. Like I said, we don't know what businesses could change to automate. Like say for instance, you have a business. You have 50 people on the line. a company comes in and benchmark a company. Hey, Mr. Saxon, you may have to fire 25 people to save your bottom line because you're going to put automated machines up there that you don't have to pay a salary. That is going to take care of your bottom line. You got to look at the bottom line when you're dealing with these type of businesses. We don't know. It could be manufacturing. It could be any type of skill. You see what I'm saying?
You know, that's funny you say that because the futurist writers, we can go back to Jules Verne, we can go back to Schelling, Frankenstein. What they were talking about, the wave of automation.
That's correct.
And machinery.
That's correct.
What they were talking about, they said that would ease the working man's toil.
Right.
There would be no more slavery. This is what they hope for. So now, let's say, back in the old days when you had to pick a mango from Africa.
Correct.
And get it here within 3 months, the 3-month journey. So by the time you only had not even half of what you got, so you start off with 1,000, now you got 400.
Wasn't that the idea of the cotton gin too?
Oh, that was dirty. Yeah,
I'm just saying.
yeah, that was dirty blow. But yeah, but the slavery still continued.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
All right then.
Stop talking.
So okay then. So one more time. If automation was supposed to ease somebody's burden, it wasn't yours and it wasn't mine.
Correct.
Yeah, you're
But
right.
Also,
go ahead.
along with technology comes the slowing of the mind.
Think so?
I think so. You go to a school and you look at the behavior of some of these people, you start relying on technology so much that you forget how to think.
I
But-
think technology is Prometheus. Thank you for the fire, Prometheus, because you tricked the gods and gave us
I think it's a look. I think we both talking about the same thing.
right. But I do believe that automation and the thought behind it and these innovations are to better humanity, but we still have selfish needs. And
Of
interests.
course. That's man. That's man.
As
I
human
mean-
beings.
I mean-
But now back to what you're saying, Ralph. A lot of factors play into that because I
Yeah.
was one of those homeowners in what we call the Lakewood area,
Mhm.
and taxes and all this, and homeowners insurance, all these things went up. Gentrification. I want to talk about that, but hold no.
Before you do,
Let me tell you about that.
I just want to say one thing. Back to your health care, social services, and all that. Whoever the next governor is, and whoever the next attorney general is, all I would like to say is, in order to help with all of that, raising of the minimum wage and all that, all you got to do
I
is
think
just
you can say
legalize
marijuana.
the weed.
That's a good.
That's all you gotta do.
That's a good step in the right direction. But
You
you
believe
gotta,
that?
That would be. I believe they should.
I believe
because
that.
I know veterans right now who suffer from PTSD.
Or other illnesses.
Other illnesses. They are getting
Passing out,
They,
syncope.
they are getting that help.
And you do
The
that.
VA is helping them.
That
with
money right there goes a long way towards your tax base.
What happened to
Give me
Canada? Canada in one day they paid all their money.
Pretty much.
I was going to ask you, give me some examples of states that
What? Other than
Colorado,
we
Other
know
than
about Colorado.
Colorado.
We know about Washington.
Vermont, was it?
We got California was a big one.
But
They pulled themselves out of the red big time.
Yeah, that's correct. But they won't. But you see that you have to understand that the drug itself, marijuana, it's still illegal.
That's the
Even-
other problem
Even
that
though,
the feds need to get on board about.
but they're trying to get on board. But let's just say it's a money maker because most of the people that get locked up is for weed.
That's
So it's still-
now what did Canada do? Canada went pardoned all of their low level pot offenders.
They did,
Yeah.
but
Pardon.
a lot of them still got locked up because they still have to go through and ratify some of the laws because some people was buying weed and think it was okay to smoke it right there in front of the police or whatever.
If you go to Washington,
you know,
if you go to Washington, in Seattle, you can do just what you just said.
that's correct. I understand that. As long as you ain't driving no car.
Right. Because you treat it like alcohol.
That's right.
So common sense tells you if you do what you're doing in Washington and in Colorado, these both of these states in taxes are making billions
They are. They paying their deficits.
and have the kind of health care that this governor is talking about.
Right.
So-
because they're paying it.
It leads back to what I just said about affordable health care for all.
So you're saying we're gonna sell marijuana and let so
Okay, but look,
So-
wait,
so-
stop. Before we even had the lottery. What was the lottery intended for, everybody?
Yo, for what? Healthcare and education. I
Teacher,
do believe.
Mr. Teacher back there,
Was it for education, wasn't it?
Mr.
It
Don.
was for education.
Say it a little bit louder.
It was for education.
Aha.
And solely education.
Aha.
And-
what
and-
it does now.
Mr. Teacher,
Everything-
what is it?
Everything except education.
Oh,
It does everything now except education.
But Mr. Don, we building brand new schools. They remaking.
what? Again, Campbell Park, maybe they rebuilt. How many these
So-
schools?
Melrose.
Yeah, they have
Okay,
rebuilt
so
some schools. They have
so,
done some things.
so what's the argument
But
then?
the thing is, it was not just for building schools. It was to provide the kind of equipment and materials that kids need to learn with.
Are we
building
getting that?
Building schools. That's
Brick and
that's
mortar. Brick
no.
and mortar, what we call it. Yeah.
Building the school, that infrastructure was more. That was government expense and government responsibility.
So that part
So that has
was
nothing-
already built into
Exactly.
the budget, right?
Exactly. That's a part of the budget. That's like entrenched in the budget.
So why do you have to do a candy bar fundraiser to get books or get material?
Well,
I don't understand that.
Because the dollars that the so-called dollars that they're getting from the lottery and other things, and there's a new one now. There's a county tax. You know that there's a new county tax. I saw it somewhere that we're not getting that money. That's not going to the classroom. That's not going to the classroom.
Okay, I heard the campaign promise by a gubernatorial candidate. They said he wants to raise. Now this is back. I'm challenging you, Mr. Don. He said he wants to raise the income for who? Teachers. Talk to me. Talk dirty to me. Give it to me raw. That's why I like it.
You know, it's it's like
Since you got your
every
shit, I hate you.
it's like every other politicians that when they want to get into power,
Mm-hmm.
when they want to get the teachers' votes,
Can they raise
they
your?
make that promise,
Can they raise your?
and they can't raise it. They can't raise the pay for teachers. Then the so-called that is federal,
Correct.
right? That is federal.
Ah.
So
Okay.
when they can make these promises, but if you don't know, so you're gonna go vote. Okay, I'm gonna get. Man, I've been hearing this for the longest while, and still I've got a penny on my paycheck.
So you're not a state employee?
You see,
You're a state, but not a federal employee.
this,
Even though
this is what people don't understand. We are employed by the state, but
Right.
we're paid of the federal budget.
You get some of your money comes from the feds and some come from the state.
Yes, and a small portion. And the thing is, why the state? In fact, not the teachers. The equipment that students and teachers need to teach, like computers and so on, that comes out of the state budget,
Correct.
right? But the actual funding, that's what they call it. The department, what do they call it? The education.
Department of Education.
Department of Education, that this teacher, not teacher, this person who is now the head of it, put in by Trump, who
The lady.
the lady who did not know anything about
Right,
education.
right. I know
That's
you're talking
her
about.
department pay teachers nationally, and
See,
some
that's what I show
teacher-
for is to
some-
learn all
Yeah.
of us.
You gotta learn the process.
Some departments, some states get a little bit more. Why? Because of the so-called cost of living factor.
But
So now
but
that
but
goes-
hold
That
on,
is why, that's
Mr.
why
Don.
it's federal.
Mr.
Because
Don, hold on.
Because the feds have to factor in cost of.
But
cost of
Mr.
living.
Don, what they're saying to you is that look how days you have off. You have summers. That's one of the principal. I'm
But they
just
don't
messing-
get paid.
All right, you know something?
They
This
don't
is
get
another
paid
thing.
when they off on the
Teachers
summer.
don't get paid when we off.
No,
in
they
the summer.
don't.
That's
You know,
what they say.
and here's another
Why should
factor.
they increase your salary when you
Here's
have all the
another-
time off?
Here's another factor.
Right.
We are 10-month employees.
Right.
That's
10
right.
months
10
employees.
months.
And
Right.
when we go to try to get like a mortgage or something else, right? They look at us, and so therefore, what they tend to do is to what do you call it? They
Macro?
They configure it over 12 months, so you don't get.
Aggregate.
So it
aggregate.
lowers your monthly salary now. They take that 12, what you get for the year, and divide by 12. They take 10 months salary divided by 12. Okay. So now you look at your there's no money there because it looks so small.
But they have grant. They Pinellas County do offer grants for teachers, for buying homes. They do offer grants for fire. They do offer grants for first responders. They do. They got it for nurses. They got it for
Not for teachers, my
police.
brother.
I know.
Teachers
But
don't
he
get
said
this
not for
grant.
teachers.
Not for teachers. No. I think they do have it for teachers.
Not for
Unless
teachers,
if
my
I'm
brother.
wrong. I need to fact check that then. I will
Please
fact
do.
check it on the break
Because
and see.
when you find out, please let me know.
I need to because I mean they had it out there. They had it out because
No. What the city does, and this is not just for teachers. The city has a program.
I know the city has a
for
program. Yeah.
right? The school board has nothing for us.
That's sad.
Not even health. What do you call it? Health insurance. We have to pay our
So-
health insurance. They provide a portion, but it's limited, and they're telling you where you have to go.
Yeah.
And when you go to some of these providers, they look at you like
So y'all go through the same thing just like any other regular anybody
go through the
else.
same
Every time it is pre-enrollment
Yes,
time,
sir.
you have to go through the
Yeah.
same
Yes,
process,
sir.
just like the seniors, just like
Yes,
anybody
sir,
else.
everybody.
Wow.
So don't think it's a bed of roses for teachers, please.
No, we never thought so. I never
No,
thought so.
no. I listened to the candidates, and I'm hoping. Well, now I know. I think I just got educated. That's the purpose of that show, y'all, to educate not just listeners and the viewers, but educate.
Oh, yeah.
We
Most
not
definitely.
here
We're
to
not
take
above anything.
not
Oh,
above
no.
anybody here.
Man.
We need to learn.
Right.
Oh,
And I
yes.
never knew that.
I never knew that either.
Oh, no.
But I've always heard that they had. I heard about the grant. I heard about the grant, and sometimes I think it's kind of weird that when you hear it from somebody else, it's different. So I got to fact check that.
Right.
Definitely.
Now,
He
Michael,
just
you
have no
also
grant.
tied to Mr. Harris is tied to the school system also.
Oh yeah, but not like he is.
Yeah, but so does that mean that an increase in the wages will help you? Yes.
I would. Oh yeah, most definitely. You increase my wages. Oh, most definitely.
He's tied to the school system, so it would help him. Now,
Can I
wow.
say another thing before you even move on?
Sure.
Because teachers' wages, as it relates to increase in salary and so on, it goes through union representation, and battling for an increase, and has this been going on for many years. Every year they ratify a recommendation, goes back to the school board. A recommendation goes to the school board, and the school board will either accept or reject it. They always say this is not what they are expecting. This is asking for too much, or if they do, they put certain other clause in it where, of course, we have to go to more meetings. We have to do certain other things. We have to provide certain other services before they will agree to that increase, which might be. And at the end of the increase, and I'm going to tell you this: last year, they ratified an increase. At the end of the year, I got my pay stub, and I looked at it, and my final income was less than what I got the year before, because it goes right back into their
in
taxation.
the taxes.
So the optimized plan is to increase you and raise the taxes in the
Well, yeah,
process
it's just
of it.
it's,
So your
Wow.
your income stays the same. That's like when you work overtime.
It goes down.
When you were overtime,
When you work
you
overtime.
get paid at the front end. Yeah, I'm going out tonight. But you're behind.
Yeah.
You'll end up getting hit at the end of the year
Yeah.
because you're in the what? A high
High
tax
tax
bracket.
bracket.
well, that
That's
happens.
right.
Like he said, that happens to teachers quite a bit. If
So
they
if they-
do overtime, or if they do a little side job and they get paid extra money, oh yeah, they get.
So let's be honest with each other. Why not they just make teachers independent contractors and let them pay the same taxes like corporations pay? Hello?
Mr. Jackson.
Hello?
But-
Why don't you just pay Yeah, because if they funding their own retirement and all that stuff, they paying into a retirement system. Let them become independent contractors. Is the only sensible
Well,
way.
they have
No,
a
because look, can I answer that? Because
Okay, get
if
me
you're an independent contractor, you go where the hell you want to go. You don't have to go to Combat Town Southside. You're going to countryside.
Oh yeah.
All right, you going. Let's be honest
You
about
can't go
it.
any way you want.
You go any way you want
At the
to.
same time,
But let's put it. Which corporation pays their people 1099? And they're millionaires. A lot of them.
yeah.
A lot of them do, because they don't have to pay that payroll tax. That's a cost that came out of their bottom line. Let's talk business now.
You see, let me tell you what's going on.
Let's talk
And they're
business
not-
now,
They're
okay?
not saying it. They're not saying it. But it's like police officers and nurses, and they lump us in the same category. They see police officers and nurses as central
As main employees.
right? There's a name you central whatever. These are important to the state or to the country. The teachers are lumped in the same way, but they're not saying teachers are central or main employees. They're not saying it, but we are basically the same.
But you all
But
they're not
philosophically,
describing
to create police officers educated, and if I'm educated, it starts with teachers. And I don't.
Well, it's something I read
Damn.
a long time ago. I have a book at home called something about recreating the New South from right after Reconstruction. And in that book, the carpetbaggers, when they were coming from the north,
The North.
when the federal government, when they petitioned the federal government at that time, we're talking, like I said, right after the Civil War, did not want to create any department or any outright department of public education. They didn't want to educate people across the country. Now, if you did it privately, that's one thing. But they didn't want to be responsible for any so-called public education or funding. That even back then.
I think the public education came because of the free slaves. What are we going to do with
Well,
it?
they didn't. It wasn't even that. It really wasn't even that. The abolitionists that came down saw you had the poor whites and you had the slaves. So that was part of it. But the fact that the education was just deplorable, period. They didn't have schools, period. So when they wanted to set them up, the governors and all these people, they were the North was just fighting it. They didn't want to fund them at all.
I think if you want to read about that, a good one is to read about the monkey trials that took place, and that was people kind of sum it up as being about evolution and creationism. But it was much more than that. It was about the education of the South and the South being behind versus the North. But that's a good read. By the
But
way.
people fail to realize that Fisk University and Howard University came from when you had these plantation owners that had
Mixed
children with mixed kids, and the kids were not accepted in the black community,
Yes.
and the kids were not accepted in the white community. That's why the wives of these plantation owners say, "Hey, man, y'all got to open a school."
Open a school, yeah.
And that's how Howard University and Fisk University came about. That's how these universities
Yeah,
came.
well, it's funny.
It's funny now, but it's reality.
It's
you know what I
funny
mean?
because privately,
we're not laughing
Again.
No, we're not laughing at it, but look at what's going on. I mean, we got to understand that it took something to make something. Classism
Once
again plays its role in everything that we do.
race and class.
But you know,
privately, all of that stuff took place, but federally and publicly, these people came out and did not want it to happen. You talk about in the late 1800s, $5 a student in Texas, Colorado, 10, New York, 25.
those are white students. We're not talking about black.
That's what I'm talking about.
Back out to
I'm not talking about black.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You're absolutely right, but that's
Right.
what I'm talking about.
Right.
When they gave the numbers, those numbers didn't include us at all.
Right.
So that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your position today. I'm talking about the teacher's overall position.
Right.
period.
I'm not talking about black and white. I'm talking about what Ralph just said,
Yeah.
classism.
Classes.
We're talking about the overall position. If you have a federal government that from day one didn't value overall education, we're talking about in Reconstruction,
Wow.
then you're still looking at that same problem today.
But
I try a lot of times to try to keep us out of the picture.
Right.
But you have to though.
No, not necessarily.
But you-
And the reason why I try to do that is because I want us to look at it that way.
Right.
And the reason why is because if they don't give a damn about each other,
What the hell? Let me tell you something. I think it was in the 50s. If you look at some of the statistics, it was $11 for northern students and $5. dollars Not talking about black people. Stop right there. These are white folks. So if they don't value each other, now we come into the equation. What about us?
Of course. Now, so if you
So they were like, well, what about? I mean, I know it's your harsh terms, but what about you? It's not concerning you. So the things like the monkey trials, and you read about that, you'll see where it was. People say it was about creationism versus evolution. It was much more than that. It was about the North and the South saying, you really don't give a damn about us. Who are you to come down and tell us?
Exactly.
That's what the whole thing really, in its broader terms, was about.
Exactly.
Then in the 50s, you know about the famous case, that Brown versus education. But
and that was a broader issue too. Of course,
it was a veteran, I believe, of the Korean War who wanted to, but he said, wait a minute, I fought for this, so I'm going by your standards. A, B, C. I fought, I served, I ruled, I fought, served. So her school is right here. No, she has to be bused. I don't want that. I can walk 6 blocks
and go to school.
Now he looking at it from every point of view that you're supposed to look at it from.
Mr. Don?
Now I'm just not looking at it because I'm this. I'm looking at
He's
it
saying
because
he did 1, 2, and 3. I served, I fought, then I should be. But that's
what they told me.
But that's naivete. That's being
naive. Of course.
Real quick, my father has a story that he talks about a lot. When we mentioned about the civil rights, my dad is 86 years old. He gets all of the tizzy. He said, they didn't do anything for me. My dad is career Air Force, 23 years in total. So what did he do? He was sent he was stationed in Thailand for a year, sent back to the States to MacDill Air Force Base, which was in Tampa. He comes here, and then they give him orders within a year or so to go to Fort Polk, Louisiana. He catches a bus. This is in the 60s. He catches a bus from Tampa all the way over. He's in his uniform. He's in Mississippi in his uniform, and he walks in. He sees a magazine with Muhammad Ali on it. They just won a title or something. So he stops for 1 second to look at the magazine. He heard a voice that say, "Hey boy, you know you're supposed to be. Get from around here." So my dad put the magazine down and quickly stepped out to the color section, or the black section, or segregated section. Now with that said, my father in uniform, when he got to Fort Polk, he was told by his commanding officer, you might want to be careful who you mingle with. They don't like the colors and the blacks. This is told by his commanding officer. But what did my dad say to me 20 or 30 years odd out when I said I'm going to the military? He didn't tell me the military ain't for a black man. He said, take your behind the military. Right?
Yes,
now,
indeed.
so this is a person, for all you book readers and this, that, and the other, my father lived that life. But he hoped for the best. And I think I'm speaking for a generation of people who, yes, went through some hellacious. We cannot deny that. But the overall hope of my grandmother, who couldn't read or write, was that her children. See, we could become stagnant. This is off the subject. We become stagnant because we become stagnant when we can't do. No, they couldn't do
what we could do now.
What we can do now. So when you say we're not free, yeah.
Very much so.
You can free to move to Colorado all you want. You may be broke when you get there, but you're free to move to Colorado.
You're free to walk your butt into anybody's store.
That's a little off the subject, but I'm back to the.
And you free to get free health care if you like it.
There you go with that again. There you go.
Let me tell you something. That happened to me though. I had a seizure.
Yes.
And it was actively going on, so they couldn't get me out to Bay Pines, and they took me up to Bayfront. Bayfront's the what? The indigent care.
To stabilize you.
To stabilize you.
That's
so once you stabilize, they're supposed to take you to Bay Pines.
They didn't take you to Bay Pines.
Woke up, I was semi-coherent, and they put me in the lobby.
I should laugh.
What the hell? That's exactly what I said. I was half out of it. Rolled me out in the lobby. Stuck me in the lobby. So I'm out in the lobby. Half in and half out. So I decided, since I was about half incoherent, I'm gonna lay down on the sofa.
Well, they tried to.
I know my brother. I know that he been through. So
So I
I'm
laid
backing
down
with
on the
him.
sofa. All of a sudden, one of us in a security uniform gonna come in through the door, gonna try to tell me I can't lay down.
Wow.
So you know I had to
Knowing you, which I know you
politely tell him about himself. And so while I'm doing that, one of the nurses came from the door and asked what the problem was. So I explained to them politely as well what the problem was. So then the guy, it was a guy, he said that he couldn't believe that they had just put me out. And I said, well, yeah, you can believe you just put me out because y'all just put me out. So he took me back in the back and let me pass out again in the back. And when I woke up the next time, they let me use the phone so I can get a ride to go home.
Wow.
So this is your base argument against free healthcare.
I'm just explaining the situation
I can go on and on about Bay Pines.
of you and I both.
No, we ain't gotta go there.
Why not, Ralph?
You know I can
Why
go
not?
on about Bay
We-
Pines.
we-
No,
You know,
we-
I want to make one observation. I
One
know
more
we
time.
are most of the time,
Yeah.
but just to piggyback on what my brother said over there, this is what I have observed. Health or hospital, let me call it hospital care,
Mm-hmm.
just like health insurance, is a big income financial situation
Yes,
that's
it
going
is.
on. It's
I
nothing
agree.
about making the money.
Mhm.
That's what I've seen
Yep.
in insurance, and also with some of these doctors and hospitals that we are going. They just want, it's all about, okay, I did a service, so therefore the bill is to the insurance. No matter what it is. They did a service. It says bill to the insurance. And if you don't have insurance, they don't want to do that service.
No.
They don't want to do that service. So therefore it's all about the money.
Ralph?
So
I-
brother, you got put up because
Yeah.
I would beg to differ because I had the experience to work at a company that made equipment for operating, and they pay their workers well.
Yes, I know, because my son works at a,
Smith, Mitchell and Klein, or
not
something.
them, but he works at a,
They
another-
used to be a co-
pharmaceutical company.
But well, they
I
used
know
to
what
be,
you're talking about,
They
though.
used to be a company that used to make the actual equipment to operate on people. That's a one-time use, correct?
Correct.
And they pay their workers handsomely out there because they had project managers. They used to use the
so
EDM machine, CNC machine. Like, I'm just trying to not trying to throw down what you said because of the money. They're in for business because bottom line is this: man, you can't use.
They don't sweat to the
Equipment.
bank, Ralph. They sweat to the HIPAA law.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You can't make. What I'm saying is, all hospitals are open for business, whether we like it or not.
Not Ed
Some of
White
them.
anymore.
Well, some of them are, some of them are not. It
Probably
depends.
wasn't getting enough patients.
It
Because
depends.
they're private.
That's why.
It depends. You remember when many outpatients were being established outside of the hospital? Like
Yeah.
when they finish with you, the doctor has an outpatient facility. He could go there and you could recover over there. They're going to get paid for that. That's a
course.
service. Okay? Hospital equipment. You know this and I know this. You can't use that joker only but one time if you operate on somebody.
Correct.
Correct?
Yeah.
You have to get rid of
I
it.
worked
When you
in
get
OR.
ready to you could desanitize, you might throw it away, but guess what? It's going right back and be recycled again.
Right, recycled.
So the thing about it is, it's a business, whether we like it or not, and that's where the
But don't
cost. That's where the cost comes in.
But don't we change the nature of our business because it's failing the general public.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
And that's why we keep talking about Bay Pines.
Well, I was
because
looking
that's
at
the problem.
No, well, yeah, we know that, but I'm not going to get into that. I don't want to get into that at all. That don't
We gotta
have-
go.
We
Yeah,
gotta
I
go?
know. That don't have anything to do with us right now. We talking about this was going on here.
This
right?
is going to be a
This-
continuum, of course.
Yes, this
There's
happens.
going to be a continuum because this is a hot
You,
topic.
you,
It's
you got jokes.
No, it's going to be a hot topic. This is going to be a continuum because this is a very, very
Lord.
important issue for our future here. Thank you for attending our show. I want to shout out to Mrs. Oh Lord, got her name. Miss
You gonna get shot.
Miss
You need to be too.
Rachel. I'm sorry, Miss Rachel. Thank you for viewing. Hope you enjoyed yourself.
Shoot him.
Shoot him dead. Maybe I'll fight over that cotton gin. We're gonna fight. Thank you very much, and good evening, good night, peace.
Bye.
Bye bye.
But
St. Petersburg.
next guys, next week or next time,